Hi there guys, welcome to the episode. So this week we're in the boot of Alice and we're going to start by removing the catch tank. Then we're going to lift out the battery. I'm going to start to clean all the boot area up, ready for a coat of primer and then a proper coat of paint before we put everything back in there again. Just a little update from the last video. We looked at the Fiesta and how well it turned out after it had come back from Probilvård. Well, I can happily say she's now got a new owner, so she is sold. One of my students was in need of a car and he'd seen the car being here, he'd seen how it came in, he'd seen what I'd done to it, and he'd seen how it turned out afterwards, and he really enjoyed the car, so he's bought the car now. I'm really happy to see that that car is back on the road and with a new owner. So I have mentioned this before, and I've got the battery relocated to the boot floor and I've got the catch tank in the boot. Now there's no problem to have them in the same area. As I've said before, I had a really flimsy holder for this battery that didn't really bolt it down to the floor. The other problem was that the terminals for the battery were very open. So as Gustav pointed out, if I were to put something metal in this boot that was long enough to touch that positive terminal and that catch tank, then obviously I can cause a spark on the catch tank, which is full of, well, it's 2 litres of petrol inside there, so it could cause a problem. So what he wanted to do was get something to cover the battery basically and cover the terminals of the battery. So I bought this box. Now this box is slightly higher than the battery, so it's got a lid to it that fits on this, but the lid, as you can see, is absolutely enormous. So I really don't want this lid. It is huge. So what I've done is you've used the box that I've got here already, and I'm going to try and sort out some other kind of a lid on here. I'm not really sure what. I have got a pair of these, which is the terminal covers for a battery, so they do actually fit onto there. Somebody bought a new battery and left the covers here, so I may use these battery covers because they're not too bad actually. What I want to do eventually is put the boot floor back in here again so that I can use it for storage when we go to England, but as I've said before, this tank is way too high for putting a boot floor in here, so I'd have to cut a giant hole out of it. I don't want to do that. I'm going to get this out of here. Obviously there is petrol in this tank, so I need to clamp off the 4 pipes coming out of this tank and then remove this tank out of the way. It's only bolted in 2-3 bolts on the floor there, so I'll be able to lift that out. The boot floor does have some small signs of little rusty bits, but I think I'll be able to grind them down slightly, treat them, and then they'll be fine after that. Other than that, the boot floor is pretty clean, to be honest. So what I want to do then is, once this out of the way and once that's out of the way, I want to get a coat of paint in here with a rattle can, and then a proper coat of paint, some clear coat in here, so that the boot looks as nice as the rest of the car does. Right, so that worked well. It stinks of petrol, but that's all I managed to lose, was just that little tiny amount there. So quite happy with that, really. I'm going to try and find something to block the ends of this off, otherwise it's going to drip fuel, especially as I'm going to start to grind here. So I want to block them pipes off slightly. Probably another piece of pipe with a bolt in the end of it, just to bung it off to stop it from leaking. Well, that didn't quite go to plan. There was a bit more rust there than what I'd hoped for, so I ended up taking that piece out. I thought I'd got rid of all the rust, and I thought this was just going to be a little bit of surface rust, but turns out it's not. It kind of stretches all the way up to here, and a little bit down here as well. So I've had to cut this piece out. I'll make a new piece and then weld it all back in again. Luckily enough, underneath is fine. Quite why it's rusted upwards, I don't know. Normally they rust downwards, and I would have expected that piece of metal to have gone through, have rusted straight through, but it doesn't look like it has, to be honest. So I'm lucky at that point that it's just that, and it's the inside of the boot, so I'll be able to make a new piece that fits in here, in that hole, weld it all in, and you'll never see it. So anybody that's ever watched Project Binky will know about a CAD design, which is a cardboard aided design, and that is my cardboard aided design pattern. So that's what it looks like flat, and that's what it looks like transferred onto a sheet of metal. I've already bent this edge and I've already bent that edge to do it. So as you can see, it's got a slight bend in that piece of metal there. So I need to cut this out now, and then I can start to make it fit the boot properly. So it's going to need slight adjustments here, there and everywhere just to make it fit exactly. Some bits might be taken out of here and some bits might be taken out of the boot floor, but this is going to fit pretty perfect. I'm quite happy with actually how that turned out, to be honest. So out with the angle grinder, chop all this up. Right, it's a little bit of grinding, so I've got to cut along this edge here. I've got to cut along that edge there of the original boot floor. A little tiny bit up there as well. I'll be able to weld that corner, for example, to start with. Then I'll be able to squash this piece around a little bit. I'll be able to weld that edge down. I'll be able to lift this piece up to match this piece. Got to cut that little corner off of there. So I'm quite happy with how that is turned out so far. Right, so that piece fits quite nicely into there. Quite happy with how that sits. I've cut out a little bit more here to get that to weld into the original boot floor there. Drilled some holes into here so that I can spot weld it to that piece underneath there. As you can see here, I found out that there was a little bit more there than what I was happy with, so I will have to cut another triangle piece out there and weld another piece in there, but then at least I'll know that there's no rust from there either. It's basically a matter now of getting the welder out. Right, so I've gone round and tacked it into place, and as you can see I used all sorts of different techniques. With these holes here, I've got a jack and a hammer from underneath, and I just pressed the panel up from underneath, and then I was able to knock this panel down from the top to get it absolutely level on here. This piece here, I put a screwdriver in just to lift this little edge up a little tiny piece, and then I could knock the two together. I was knocking that one in and I was knocking that one down to get the joint ever so close, or as close as I could get it. Here I didn't need to do much apart from straighten that piece out there, and that's fine there. There's a slightly bigger gap there than I would have liked, but I'm just gonna have to deal with that, I think. I need to bend this very slightly to get it to follow the contour of this piece here, but I can see there's a bit of debris behind there, so I need to get some air in there and blow all that clean. Then I'll be able to shape this corner into more of this shape, and then I'll be able to weld that. And then it's just a matter of welding, and then it's a matter of welding all the way around this panel here just to get it into place, and then I'll make the triangle piece that's going to go into there, and that'll be done. Right, so that's now had a nice little grind down. Fairly good actually. There's a couple of places like here where I can't get in with the grinder properly, and here, so a little bit of filler will smooth all of that out, and that'll be just fine. So the last things I'm going to do now are the holes for the old catch tank. One there, and one there. And then the ones for the old battery tray. So there's one there, there's one there, and there's one there. So I'm going to weld all them up, and then I'm done welding.
Shiny lights and purple sky, everything's so bright. 기다려왔어 지금이야. Turn off your phone and off your mind. Look at you so bright. 멈출 수 없어 지금이야. Oh, I'll take you to the moon. Come on up, enjoy your ride. Oh, I'll take you to the moon. Just be ready to enjoy your night. Oh, baby, it's right now. You don't wanna waste this time. 어디든지 가줄게. Yeah, I'll go to work, can't stop. 이루어질 거야. I'll take you to the moon.
That's one can of spray paint that was used to the whole boot there, and I think that makes a massive difference to the boot. In fact, I feel quite happy opening the boot to show it off to people nowadays. So in the next video, I want to get the battery put back in here, so I need to put the plate in here. Now I don't have any more paint. It would be nice to paint it body colour, but I don't have any more paint, so I think I'm going to powder coat the plate black there, and it'll be fitted to the floor. I've got the new catch tank to be fitted there as well, so that I'll get fitted in there as well next week, plumbed all in again, and we can get the engine started. And then I've got one more plan for there. So if you like what you've seen in this episode and you want to see more, make sure you press the subscribe button here. You can also follow me on my Instagram and Facebook. I'll put links here somewhere for you, and if not, it's in the comments below. If you've liked anything you've seen on here, please don't hesitate to put a comment below. I'd love to hear from you all. But right now, I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks a lot, and bye-bye.